Hi guys, I am reading the 7-Year Slip, which this is like one of my favorite covers ever. I'm on chapter 7 so far, about 60 pages in. So I wanted to stop and talk to you guys a little bit about this though, because I've heard very mixed reviews about whether or not this is actually a good, like, clean or closed door or whatnot book. When I got it, I was hearing only good reviews. And then after I got it, I heard a few, oh, that's not actually. So I kind of figured I'd like vlog a little bit of this and kind of like give my experiences and what I think and content warnings and stuff like that for those who are maybe a little confused like I was and am about this book. So I'm going to start out with saying there is cussing in this. I don't prefer cussing, but cussing doesn't immediately turn me off from a book. It has to be like really vulgar, and that's just because one side of my family has cussed and stuff. I've been around it. I don't cuss, but I've been around it, so it doesn't like affect me quite as much, I guess. But this isn't crazy vulgar. It's just, actually, I think the only word it's used is the F word, which is weird, but it's done it in like, it's done it in really stupid little ways, like a shirt says this or whatever. So it's been annoying, but it hasn't been like crazy in every single page. I honestly think it might have been in the first chapter more than the next 6. So, and with that, also we are following Clementine. She is our main girl protagonist, and she's dealing with grief here of her aunt passing, and she's taken over her apartment and stuff. That's what book is about, is this like time traveling apartment, and I love that concept. And that's one of the reasons why I'm still reading it and still keeping it in, because I love this concept. And also this author, like, I like how she's writing it, and I like her writing, and there's some really like pretty lines and quotes and stuff that I've been liking, and the way she writes things. What I don't like is of course the cussing, and secondly there was a mention of like casual sex thrown in. Again, nothing graphic, but just a mention of like, this is the vibe, which I don't prefer that, but that was only once so far. The thing that is annoying me the most about this so far, honestly, is that her 2 best friends are lesbians who are having a baby. Yeah, I'll just say that. And her aunt apparently also was one. And so there was a little bit of that too. And I don't like reading that stuff in my books. So far I'm continuing because it really, this book is making me think, and it's making it sound like this stuff was here at the beginning to kind of give you background, whatever, but the entirety of the actual story has nothing to do with that. I may be wrong. I may check in with you guys again and be like, I was totally wrong and this has way too much of this. I don't know. But so far, it kind of seems like the rest of the book shouldn't really have much of that. We will see. This is why I'm continuing. I really love this concept. She has some very beautiful writing. But why does everybody have to put gay stuff in it nowadays? It makes it really hard to find books sometimes. But yeah, that's where I am. If that doesn't bother you guys, or you guys like to read that, you know, that's entirely up to you guys. That's fine. I can respect that, but I appreciate when people respect me, because I get a lot of hate, honestly. I've gotten hate in my real life when I've said something like that, and they've been like, oh, well, you can't. And I'm like, I can have my own opinions. I can have my own convictions, and I don't read or like gay, lesbian, romance stuff. That is against God's word, and I'm a Christian. I didn't say I hate you. I said I don't read that. I don't partake in that stuff. So I just ask that we all be nice. We all be nice on here in the comment section. And if you like to read that, then, you know, be nice to those who don't like to read it. Don't be hateful towards them, because you're just spreading the same stuff that you're trying to say is spread to you. So anyway, completely off topic, but I'm gonna go read more of this book and let y'all know. So hi guys. So I finished this. I really hope you can't hear my neighbor's dog barking because they will not shut up. Okay guys, so I finished this book. And now we're gonna talk about it. I did this one a little bit differently. I didn't do like a book review. I did this more in a little bit of a vlog style. Just wanted to change it up a bit. But I want to talk about this one, guys, because this is one that I've seen like everywhere. Everybody loves this book and everybody's talked about this book, and I heard a lot of positive things, and I heard a lot of like, oh, this is clean and this is good. And I went and got it, and then after getting it, I started to hear, yeah, it's not actually clean, it's not actually good, it's got stuff in it. But what I find when I look for reviews and try to figure stuff out is that not everybody is as clear as I would like them to be, because everybody has different preferences on things and different comfort levels, and this book, I feel like, very much showed how much people leave out when they review things, because I had no idea what kind of content to expect. I heard from 10 people that there was like no sexual content in this, and from 5 others that there was. But what kind? We don't go into details, apparently. I'm not trying to say this to whatever anybody or the way they do reviews. I'm just saying that for me, there are a lot of books I don't get enough information on to know whether or not it's a good book for me or I'd be comfortable reading it. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go over the things that I would have liked to know before going into this, so that hopefully others who are a little bit confused like me can get a better grasp of this book. So if you don't know, The 7-Year Slip is about an apartment that slips in and out of time 7 years in the past and 7 years in the future. So it's like a time traveling apartment thing, which I liked. I liked the subtle, you know, like sci-fi little, you know, tiny little at the bottom of a romance plot. I really liked that. That was part of the reason I really wanted to read this. And I will say, after reading it, I'm really mad at this book for the reason that it had some bad content in it. Because guys, honestly, if it didn't, Ashley Poston, guys, can write some very beautiful things. I think she had quite lovely writing. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the main story and the plot, that if it didn't have the stuff I'm about to talk about in it, this might have been a 5-star read for me. So let's get into what it had though. Alright, I am going to start out with saying that this does have some cussing in it. Cussing isn't something that immediately, I can't read anything with a single cuss word in it. I'm not personally like that. I know there are some people who are. I'm not personally like that. I have family who cusses, so I've been around it. I do not cuss, don't like cussing, but it doesn't immediately whatever me off from a story. Now, the cussing in this book though, I feel like she only used the F word, which was weird to me in the first place. It was used in unnecessary ways. Like she was saying, she was describing to us what like a shirt that her friend was wearing said, and it had the F word in it. And it was like unnecessary means of even putting it in there. It seemed dumb and vulgar and stupid to me. I didn't like that at all. I don't like cussing in general, but it wasn't like every other page. I did feel like there was more in the first chapter for some reason. I felt like I didn't get as much throughout the rest of the story. Just a fair warning, but it wasn't littered throughout every page, but it was just occasionally like thrown in there, like, why? Okay. Anyway, and after that, we're gonna go on to sexual content. So I've heard a lot of back and forth on whether or not this is closed door. After reading it, I can understand now why people said it was closed door, because technically the line kind of whatever's to bedroom, kind of. I will say this, there are, or at least one, I think it's only once, there is a steamy make-out scene that goes into the foreplay that happens before sex. And I did not read all of that because I was not comfortable with reading all of that, but at the end of it, it did like fade to back, next morning, whatever, closed door. That is what I would say. It is a steamy make-out. That is some foreplay leading up to it. It seemed like it was going to have a little bit too much detail for my personal taste, so I skipped over that part. I don't like when books have this and I have to skip over anything, so that was definitely a knockdown for the rating for me. As I said, if it didn't have these things, it felt like a 5-star read to me outside of these things that I'm talking about. I would also like to say, because this is something that I never heard talked about once, and this is something that I stay away from in my books, is that this had 2 lesbian couples. I don't like reading that stuff in my books. I don't like it, and I don't read it. This was not marketed or talked about ever having any of that stuff. 2 of them are her co-workers, and they're having a baby, which there was a lot wrong with that, but their entire personalities are pretty much, let's just shove it down your face, and I don't like it when it's like that in books, especially. Like, if it's there in the background, I'm a little annoyed, but when it's more shoved down your throat, I get a lot more upset about it. And I felt like this book kind of did that, but at the same time, there were large gaps, especially after you got through the beginning, when it really got into the main protagonist to protagonist storyline and their romance, that we didn't have very much of that, which is partly why I read through it and continued to and finished it off. And there is another couple of lesbians too, aren't as present as those 2 are, but they do kind of come in at one part. I'd maybe say a quarter of the way in, it's like mentioned, and then a little bit towards the end. I don't want to say who it is because I think it's a little bit of a spoiler, but I will say that there's technically like 4 present in the storyline, and I didn't appreciate that. So that was probably the thing I didn't like about it the most, honestly, was the lesbians being in it and their storyline and the way they were written and put in the story, and it just seemed over the top, and I don't like to read that anyway. But honestly, guys, this, I get the allure of it. I get why people like this so much, because I do think it was very pretty writing. There were a lot of like quotes. It was a book that I felt like when I was reading it, I wanted to annotate it, even though I wasn't annotating it because I was just checking out for the first time. I felt like annotating it because there were so many things I wanted to highlight and stuff like that. I did write down a few of like the quotes or whatnot from it, but it was pretty, and I enjoyed the main 2 protagonists, Clementine and, oh my gosh, what is his name? Wow, I'm awful, aren't I? I think his name is like Iwan or something, or Ivan, something like that. He had an interesting name, but I enjoyed their story, and I liked the like apartment thing and the way that worked. I knew it wasn't going to be anything like crazy. I knew it was just kind of like an underlining, and that's what I wanted going into it. So I liked how it was done. I liked the main plot, and I liked the main like romance storyline, and I did like how this kind of, I feel like most stories that are like this, and is this spoiler? Okay, most stories are very much, you know, wrong. I've read a lot of stories or whatnot, or seen movies, whatever's wrong, timing and it's the right person, but we can't get the timing right. We'll always be wrong timing, whatever. Like, there's a lot that just like, whatever, like, oh, we can't, just yada, yada, yada. But this one kind of did that a little bit, but it actually like centered towards the end, kind of around about the fact that like you choose the person you love, and like everybody changes over time, and you just like learn to love that new them, and you know, and who they've changed into, and you just over and over again, you keep learning about them and keep, you know, loving them and falling deeper in love with each new person and stuff. And I really liked that aspect, because I was like, I feel like that is something that we don't get in romance books enough. But that's like so true. Like, that's what happens when you get married. I am with my husband for the rest of my life, the rest of my days on this earth, and I will love it and fall in love with every single version of him as he grows and changes into an even more wonderful and godly man that he already is. So I liked that aspect of it. I ended up giving this a 3.75 stars. So I just wanted to do this little wrap up and to give you guys the content warning stuff so that you can know whether or not it'd be worth it to check it out yourself. If this stuff is too much for you, honestly, the lesbian stuff was almost too much for me to handle. It was like right at the edge of me DNFing it. I'm kind of glad I didn't though, because I did love their story so much, and like I said, it did get a little less as it went on. Like, I felt like it was the most heavy in the first quarter of the book, and then it just kind of came out slightly every now and then. But so I am kind of glad that I read it. I haven't decided whether or not I'll keep it or not. It's such a pretty cover though, and again, I really liked it. I did really like parts of it. Like, I'm mad. I'm a little mad at the author for putting in the things that I didn't like, because I'm like, this could have been a 5-star read if it didn't have this stuff. But yeah, I want you guys to know what it's about, know the content that's in it, so that you can kind of, you know, decide for yourself whether or not it is worth it, because this is a contemporary romance. So yeah, and there is also, I will say, another content warning is that there is talk about depression and suicide. It does handle those issues a little bit. It's not very deep, but it does talk about it, so just be wary of that also. But I think those are the main things. So yeah, 7-Year Slip, guys. It is a very, very pretty book. But if you guys have read this, I would love to know what your thoughts are. Love to know whether or not you liked it, or if you were kind of like me, liked parts of it, but you wished other parts were in it. And if my little reading vlog has helped you decide whether or not you want to read it or not, let me know. That would be awesome. That's pretty much what I hope, is that I can help others to either not pick it up if it's not for them, or pick it up if they think it is for them. So I hope you guys will have a wonderful day and a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.